Hey everybody, Debbie here with another Stratego game analysis. This is game number 21 of our Stratego Mystery Player series. And we're currently 19-1, and we're going to be facing a bronze colonel with a few more losses than wins. Rating ELO 259. So let's get started. This game was a little bit strange because the person had a strange setup. So let's move right to the, so I go second again. It seems like I'm always going second in these games. So we're playing on A4 with the flag. So we did the prudent thing, up and over. This game was a strange game because of the person's setup. So that's always great when your bomb finds a captain. I like that. Better than us being scouted. But I think in this game I do a poor job of protecting my bombs. So at least we got a captain with one. So that's why it's always good to have a miner up front so you can clear some bombs. But it's usually best when you want to clear a side so you can get into it, not just clear one bomb. I usually don't clear one bomb and waste a miner. Miners are too important to do that. Oh, this is strange. 3 scouts in the back row here. Yeah, I did change things up a little bit, but don't use my setup. It's not optimized at all. So we do a little bluff here. He runs away, so that's good. I get a scout with it. But we only find a lieutenant. So this is looking pretty weak over here, lieutenant and the lieutenant. This side appears to be the weak side. And we have a major, some strength on this side. I'm trying to protect this bomb. When you have an open flag, when you have an open flag, you really want to try to protect your bombs so they don't get found out until the middle or later part of the game. You don't want them to be found out too early because then your opponent can start to go on a lotto spree, and you don't want that. So it's nice to be leading for a change. I'm up a captain. Most of the games I've always been down a captain or two. So now we're up a captain and a lieutenant. And usually this is a spot for a major. Probably should have went this way and cleared this column instead of going that way. So this appears to be the weak side. I think that's why he swapped. He didn't want me going down. I'm trying not to get this bomb scouted. So I am protecting the bombs. Trying my best here. So that's why I usually have this miner in the center. I do that to bait scouts. Really, I should pull it back now. But I like at least getting one scout with a miner. Like I say, it's always good to have at least one miner on the top row or the second row from the top. In case they bomb off the sides, you can open up the side fairly quickly without moving a lot of pieces. So this is coming from the weak side too, so it's probably garbage. I should pull this down, but I don't think I did. I should pull it down and then hit it with the captain. So I wasted a miner. That was a mistake there. I should have kept on going down because this was the probability was very high that that was a weak piece. You don't want to lose your small pieces. So that's why this major has to stay in front of the flag until this column is clear. You always have to worry about scouts, miners, and sergeants just coming down and running into the flag. I wish this captain was over here. I think I would just charge in and attack everything over here, because this is just looking like a weak side with filler pieces. That's usually unusual. You have a weak side without too many bombs. That kind of threw me in this game. Usually when you have a weak side, you have like mine, you have a whole bunch of bombs. See, that was unfortunate. You hate that when a miner finds your bomb, because that's one of my favorite bombs too. And that was probably an error too. I should have stayed here. And this should have been higher than a scout in this spot. So don't use my setup. My setup can be screwy. So this miner found 2 bombs, and that's just terrible. You lose games doing stuff like that. You have to protect your bombs, especially when you have an open flag. See, that was a mistake because now this scout's going to come down. And then I'm doing a bad job of protecting the bombs. But, you know, after several moves you forget. So I probably wasn't concentrating too hard in this game. So that was pretty brave, attacking down, but he knows 4 of my bombs. He has 3 and he knows this one. So that makes your opponent a lot braver to lotto when they find your bombs. So that was risky, but it wasn't so risky since he knew 4 bombs. Now when you get a piece like that comes down into a trap like this, you'd like to bluff him with a piece. And you want to bluff him with a piece that's in a spot where a high piece would normally be positioned at the start of the game. Unfortunately, I don't have any low pieces here, like a scout or sergeant. And this piece was running away, so he probably would attack this piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come with the major and try to trap him and to force him to make a decision. See, this really was a weak side. And I'm glad he only has 2 scouts left, so that's really good. He had all his scouts over here too. Or most of the scouts were over here. It was a really unusual setup to have all his weak pieces and no bombs here. Rather strange. So now I'm forcing him to make a decision. And you hate to get yourself in these positions. But at least my opponent knows 4 of the bombs, but unfortunately the other 2 are right next to him, and he's going to assume this is a high piece, because usually low rank players don't bluff. Usually when you're playing someone under 500 ELO, they're not bluffing. They're usually bringing a colonel, a marshal, or a general to get your major. I like to do it, and I think most top players like to bluff. But they mix it up, so sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But a lot of times you like to bluff with a low piece that you can afford to lose, like a scout or a miner. And then if he hits the bomb, then you can use this scout or miner for the rest of the game as a high piece. He'll think it's maybe a marshal or general or colonel. He won't know until he scouts it. So that's the advantage of bluffing with a low piece. But in this case, I didn't have a low piece available to do the bluff. So the major will work. And now, since he hit this bomb, he'll think this major is higher than a major. The bad news, now he knows 5 of my bombs. So that's always dangerous. He knows I have an open flag. And he knows 5 of the bombs. Usually when you know 5 of the bombs, it's lotto time. You could go in with all your high pieces and just start attacking. And the odds are pretty good you'll find the flag. He only has 1 scout left, so that's great. Anytime you have an open flag, the scouts are your biggest enemy. Especially late in the game. So he knows this is my major. He thinks this is higher than a major, this piece. But he knows this has been this has been revealed, and this is his major. So I don't know why he didn't take me. This piece here is a general. I'll let you know that. I don't know why. I guess his memory was bad. See, I could afford to come up with the major to find a high piece because I'm up a major and I'm up a captain. I'm only down a lieutenant and sergeant and a minor. But I don't know why. I guess his memory is just as bad as mine. He didn't attack my major with his general. So we swap majors, and that's fine with me because anytime you're leading, you know, when you have a 2 high piece advantage, major and captain, I would recommend swapping. So this really has been a strange game. I'm not sure why he doesn't come up here and start attacking now that he knows 5 bombs. When you know 5 bombs, you really can start attacking. You have to put pressure on your opponent. You put pressure on your opponent and then they can make mistakes. But if you just sit back and wait, if you really want to be good at Stratego, you have to be aggressive. And you can only play defense so long. You really should be aggressive to really, if you want to be a really top, it's hard to be a really a top 100 player if you're only defensive minded. You really need to learn how to attack. I'm really not that strong of an attacker. That's why I'm not an elite player. I can play at a high level, but I'm more of an aggressive counter attacker. So if I don't find the marshal or general, I'm fairly passive. But if I found 5 bombs on my opponent's side, I would be attacking. I would be moving all my pieces and hitting everything. And then it helps to have a couple scouts left so you can attack from a long distance. So he has 1 scout left. But it's still hard to know where his flag is because he did keep a block over here. So, like I said, this is very unusual having all your weak pieces over here with not 1 single bomb. Not sure why he did that. I think the sergeant was known. So now he wasted his last scout. That was a bad move on his part. So this might be a good piece. You know, these 4 spots behind the lake are usually good pieces. And this, I think, was his general. I'm pretty sure it was his general. So I think now's the time to get the marshal involved because we're both running out of low pieces. You figure some good pieces are going to be coming down the pike. So you have to be ready to attack. I'd like to maintain my lead. He thinks this is a high piece. He knows this is a sergeant. So I'm not sure why he did that. That's pretty bad to have your marshal get revealed this late in the game with a sergeant. Don't know why he did that. He still had a lieutenant and a captain and a sergeant. He could have come down here to get rid of this sergeant. Even though he's behind in pieces, you don't want to reveal your marshal with a sergeant. So this is why this player is below 500 and is still below 300 ELO. You never want your marshal to be revealed by a known sergeant. That is just poor Stratego play. It's a huge advantage when your opponent knows where your marshal is and they don't know where yours is. That's just a huge advantage. So now this person has to be worried about a general counterattack, because the general doesn't have to worry about anything except the marshal. The general can go up here and attack anything that's moved. So he has to play defense with his marshal now. And I think if he was smart, if he was reading my board, you know, as we played here, he found 5 bombs on this side already. He has 3, and he's found these 2. He scouted this, hit the major with this. So usually when people have 5 or 6 bombs on one side, the flag is usually open on the other side. So he might want to bring, he should have brought maybe his marshal over here and just charged down this side, and maybe attacked here at the bottom where the flag would most likely be. And he probably would find the flag without the spy being able to protect. He could have gotten in here maybe and gotten to the back row. It's such an advantage when you know 5 bombs, but you have to be willing to attack. And I don't know, to bring his marshal down here to get revealed by a known sergeant, that was just awful play. He should be bringing his marshal up here, bringing his general, and he should be putting pressure on me, because he knows where 5 bombs were. So he was just a very passive player. And it's very hard to advance up the leaderboard if you're a passive Stratego player. I think even the best defensive players, they go on attack when they have an advantage, when they know the marshal or when they know 5 bombs. They're going to attack. They're not going to sit back and shuffle. So if you want to really be good at Stratego, you have to learn to attack. So I'm glad he's starting to move pieces, so he's giving me targets for my general. And I think he still thinks this might be the marshal. See, I pull back, and this makes it look like this might be my spy. I think he thinks this might be my marshal, and this might be my spy. That's always a good trick when they start bringing up pieces, to back up your highest piece, and then they'll think it's a weak piece, or they might think it's a spy. You have to worry if that's a general, he could charge down here. But as passive as he's been playing, it's probably not. So I'm thinking these pieces might be 3 bombs, maybe 4 bombs here. It's just a strange setup. He might have 4 bombs here, and maybe the flag's in the corner. So at least our flag is safe. And he doesn't have any more scouts, which is great. Now I can trap this major. All I have to do is bring up the colonel. So that's good. That gives us a 2-captain lead and a major. We're up a major and 2 captains. So now we got pressure on this. His marshal's here. So this piece is stuck. So that wasn't my spy. So now he's in a lot of trouble. He's down 2 majors and 2 captains. And now all I want to do is swap my high pieces. When you find yourself ahead, especially when they know where all your bombs are, you definitely want to swap the high pieces so they can't lotto for a victory. So this is unknown, but it is the general. I didn't know it at the time, but it's always good to know the pieces. I should just scout it. So we have him pinned. So the general can't do any damage. But it's always a good idea to know because, you know, sometimes when people are desperate, they could bring a spy down here. And if you try to get it with your marshal, you get tricked. So when you're down a lot of pieces, you can do some desperate moves, and a lot of times they work. So now we know the marshal and the general, so all I have to do is remember them. And see, that really, you know, now that it's a swap game and he's way behind, that makes it very difficult for this person to win now. So I just have to cut off the general. You just don't want to let them get by because then they'll go on a lotto spree. And since they know 5 bombs, they can do a lot of damage. This is probably the spy. So now we can get our swap here. Now I'm assuming this was a spy, but it could have been one of his colonels. So he could do some damage if this was a colonel. But I decided to save my one of my last miners here. I only have 2 miners left. So it was a spy. So now all we have to do is find the other 2 colonels, and this game is pretty much over. So you really don't want to swap when you're way behind. And he's down 2 majors and 2 captains. So, and now you know he's going to move. He's going to move. The next piece he's going to move is his colonel. So you just have to prepare. You can assume this is a colonel, and then the next piece he moves is probably his other colonel. So if you know when you move your piece, when your opponent's going to know it's a colonel, you might want to move something else. Move a lower piece to try to trick them. You know, it might be too late in this game, but you know, that's what beginners do. They do the obvious, and that's why they're beginners, and that's why they have losing records, because it's very easy to read what they're going to do. He probably thinks this is my colonel, and that would be a pretty good assumption too, because all I have to do is swap. But what I'm doing, I have to first create a lane so I can get over here. But what I want to do is bring this piece as a tripwire. I want to bring it up here, and if he decides to come this way, then I know a colonel's coming over this way, so I can get my colonel over to guard my flag. So I'm acting like this is my high piece, and then he probably thinks this is my other colonel. So that's always a good advantage when you don't know the pieces. That's why you want to hide your highest pieces as long as possible. Keep them so they don't, so they're not revealed. Because then you make the game easy when you reveal all your high pieces. So he probably thinks this is my colonel, and these are his 2 colonels. So he just wants to swap with one. And now I made a mistake here. One little mistake. I have him trapped. When he goes down here, all I have to do is go over here, and then both of his colonels would be trapped. So that was just a minor mistake, but you know, it's stuff like that that can cost you a game and a close game. I should have went over instead of down. So now he's thinking maybe both of these are colonels, so now I have to fake it. So when he moves, I move this piece. Like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I got to bring my colonel back. And then now he knows the game's over. So that was game 21. And he's looking at the graveyard, and he figures, yeah, being down 2 majors and 2 captains, that's hard to win with a few pieces left. So, but this was kind of an unusual game. He was a fairly passive player. I wasn't that aggressive, but you know, when I'm the aggressor in the game, then the opponent is really passive. That's one reason I started. I really wanted to play with a flag up front, because I knew it had to make me more aggressive. I was more of a counter attacking player. I would just do some light probe attacks to try to find the marshal, and then I would unleash a strong counter attack. But normally I was a fairly non-aggressive player. But when you want to move up the leaderboard, you have to be aggressive, and I'm a very aggressive counterattacker, but I'm not too aggressive normally. But this player was really too passive. And when you find 4 or 5 bombs, you really want to start attacking. You know, get your pieces, move them all over the place, and start attacking from all sides. And you'll find the flag. You know, they can't protect everywhere, and you just attack, attack, attack. So this player lost being very passive. He had a strange setup. You don't find that too often. A weak side without any bombs, and I assumed he had maybe 4 bombs here and the flag in the corner maybe. So anyway, this is game 21. So thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. I'll work on game 22. Bye.